Alright, so I hope everybody had a happy holidays. I'm back in the country, and I had a great trip, saw some amazing sights. So it was fantastic. I'm very grateful that I got to go on it. But I'm back, so I wanted to start doing some videos before hopefully work catches up to me sooner rather than later. We'll see. And the very first video we're going to do this year is a first for the channel as I look at my very first Mondo figure. It is the RJ MacReady timed release figure. I pre-ordered it and got it last year. I've been super excited to get it open and look at it because the thing is probably one of my all-time favorite movies. The most recent company to do figures for the thing is NECA, and they really haven't done much with the license. They have done 3 MacReadys, and each of them with okay likenesses. They're not great, especially for the scale, and sometimes NECA can do really great realistic likenesses for the figures they do. Otherwise, they've also done a version of the dog thing in the kennels, and then a exclusive poster version of the, from the cover of the parka with the light shining out from the hood. They've done a figure of that as well, and that's all they've done, which is a shame because I'd love to see literally any of the other characters from the station, or even a Blair thing, or, anything. They could have done so much more with the license, and they just haven't yet. So when Mondo announced their version of MacReady, I thought it was time to maybe dip my toes in the pool of the more higher end figures, since I mostly hang around with the like $20, $25 line of toys. I guess nothing's really $20 anymore. They're all $25 these days. So let's see if everybody's favorite helicopter pilot who hates losing at video games is worth picking up. And here we have MacReady. Now you might be wondering what's the difference between the timed release that's currently sold out and the regular version that's still available for pre-order on the website. Well, these two add-ons of the thing are the only difference. Everything else that's here is included with the regular version except for these two guys. And they are honestly probably the highlight of the set. The dog doesn't do much, unfortunately. It is beautifully sculpted. It's got some great detail, but it is just basically a statue. There's no movement. The legs don't move. The head doesn't move. Nothing. It's just going to sit there. The spider thing also doesn't have a whole lot of movement, but it does have some joints on its legs, which is kind of strange. So you can do a little bit of movement there if you wanted to change how he's sitting wherever you pose him. But it does have some beautiful detail, very grotesque in the face, the eyes, the mouth. It's all there. It looks great, and I'm happy to finally have one of these iconic versions of the thing in my collection. Now, moving on to what you can still get if you pre-order the regular version. You get the figure, the flamethrower pack, flame effect, an alternate frostbitten head, I guess you could call it, 2 gloved hands, 2 trigger hands, 2 fists, and 2 hands to grab the flamethrower, a pistol, and a shotgun. Everything you need to hunt down your thing. He's wearing his boots, his pants, a gun belt, and this jacket that looks like it's supposed to be removable judging from the photos, but I'm not going to try it because I know as soon as I do, I'll mess up something on the zipper and I'll never be able to get it back on again. So I'm just going to leave it. Speaking of being careful, I was overly cautious as I opened this up because one, it's a pretty pricey figure, probably one of the most pricier things I've spent on in my collection, and I didn't want to chance ripping, tearing, breaking something right out of the box because that certainly happens with NECA figures, so I was a little hesitant to be too rough with this one. The thing I was the most worried about was the swappable parts. The hands, the heads, you can swap out, and I didn't know how difficult that was going to be. Luckily, I think they've been designed very well, and the hands and the head pop out pretty easily. The hands are a little frustrating because it took me a while to get him to hold the flamethrower the way I wanted him to, and just to get it there, they popped out a few times. But they're staying in there fine now, and the head popped off pretty easily, but I don't want to say too easily as well. So I didn't feel like they were going to snap or break, which was good. I get that sense every time I pop a hand off of a Marvel Legend or swap a head on a G.I. Joe. Who knows what's going to happen with those? They may never go back on again. Now, figures like this are when you start getting more into being less action and more figure. He's going to be able to sit there and not much else, unfortunately. You can pose him a little bit, but I'm not, again, going to get too crazy with him because I don't want to snap something and break a leg or an arm or who knows what, or rip a jacket. So he's kind of going to stand there and look pretty cool. I will probably take the flame effect out because it is fairly heavy, and I'm a little worried it's going to put too much strain on the hands and the flamethrower itself, that it might one day just pop out and then, topple the whole thing off the shelf if it pops loose and falls. So that's kind of what's disappointing about these figures, is you worry a little bit about them. Maybe you do. Maybe it's just first-time buyer you do, and people who have like tons of these lined up in neat little cubes don't. I do wish he'd come with a couple more accessories, like maybe the blood test kit, his big goofy hat, and his goggles, and a bottle of whiskey. I think would have solidified this set as being great. It's still fun, and I'm glad I got it because, like I said, I'm a huge fan of the thing. I have no idea if they'll ever make any of the other characters, but I'm okay with just having MacReady in this scale. Now, if you got the timed edition, I think you did get the best version just because it comes with these two add-ons, and they honestly make the set for me. It gives them something to pose with, something to point the flamethrower at, and they are, like I said, beautifully sculpted. So I'm glad I got this version, but I don't think you'll be too disappointed if you do end up getting the normal version. It's a great version of MacReady. The Kurt Russell likeness is there. The detail on the clothes is great. Even if he doesn't come with as many accessories as I would hoped, he's pretty cool. Okay, here's your hint at next week's build video. Leave a guess in the comments what you think it is, or leave me a suggestion of what you'd like me to unbox or build for a future video, and hopefully I'll get around to it. Until then, stay safe, happy hunting.